NASCAR is all about changes, and although we're just a couple weeks away from the season's debut, we've witnessed a variety of updates that came at the last moment. The fans are divided, and it goes without saying that the changes are going to change the way that the fans are going to view the sport. Let's start with some of the changes that aren't that relative to the performance of the drivers, but will make a small improvement in the safety of the NASCAR drivers. The 2023 season is set to kick off in February with the exhibition-style Busch Light Clash at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. We've seen massive changes in the sport since last year, such as the next-gen car, but the 2023 season will see refinement updates. One of the most recent changes is regarding the drivers' clothing. In the 2023 season, the drivers were recommended to wear garments, such as underwear and head socks, under their race suits and helmets. However, from 2023 on, these changes have been made mandatory. The minor rule change also involves mandatory socks to be worn by drivers during appearances on the track, which adds another level of safety under their fireproof overalls and shoes. All in all, this is a great move towards improving the safety of the sport, something that the fans and the NASCAR drivers are eager to see. Apart from this, NASCAR has improved the stability and safety of the car by updating the mandatory chassis shim thickness, which saw the teams modify the shims and reduce their thickness by 50%. There have also been reports of bars being removed from next-gen vehicles in an attempt to create more crumple zones for improved driver safety. The safety of the drivers is something that has been widely discussed after the previous season and the incidents that have been endured by Bowman and Busch. The fans and the executives couldn't help but wonder why NASCAR isn't doing something to improve the safety criteria of the next-gen car. But all in all, this is a field that the sport has improved massively in, and we give them a proper shout-out. The fans have asked about the shim thickness being reduced, and Brian Murphy, who is a shop foreman at Stewart-Haas Racing, explained the reasoning behind this choice by NASCAR, further adding, "Cup shims allow the teams to locate front-rear clips during installation. Correct location has a multitude of effects on overall performance. There's a number of reasons, including .160 just simply being an enormous amount." But apart from the socks and the mandatory clothing that are going to improve the safety of the driver more than his performance, there are several changes that have met some resistance from the NASCAR fans, such as the new competition leadership team. A series of changes are supposed to hit the 2023 season, with the most notable of them being the replacement of Scott Miller with Elton Sawyer. Elton will take over the role of Senior Vice President of Competition, and Miller will take on the newly assigned role of Competition Strategist. Sawyer has been a part of NASCAR for the last 8 years, initially taking on the role of Managing Director for the NASCAR Truck Series. Later, he managed to become the NASCAR Vice President of Technical Inspection and Officiating. From 2023 on, Sawyer will oversee all aspects of on-track competition, inspection, rule development, and officiating, focusing specifically on NASCAR's 3 national series, per a release from the sanctioning body. Changes in the management structure are always a thing, but ones like this can find some resilience among fans who are divided over whether NASCAR did the right thing by replacing Miller with Sawyer. However, the fact that NASCAR is willing to keep Miller in the sport again, assigning him a new role, demonstrates that Miller is a valuable individual whose experience will be much needed as the sport moves forward. Steve O'Donnell, the Chief Operating Officer of NASCAR, spoke about the change and how he feels about Sawyer's placement in the new position as he elaborated. Elton Sawyer has shown incredible versatility throughout his 4+ decades in motorsports, following his lengthy driving career. Elton held key leadership positions for several race teams and here at NASCAR for the last 8 seasons. He will excel in this role, and we look forward to watching him continue to grow the competition team during this crucial era in our sport's history. However, O'Donnell used the opportunity to express his gratitude to Miller and the maturity that he's demonstrated in order to remain in the sport through the new role that he's been given by the sport. As he stated, "We are thrilled that Scott Miller has chosen to remain a key part of the NASCAR competition team. When he joined NASCAR in 2016, Scott lent immediate credibility to the position. A trusted voice in the garage, Scott used his decades of experience to lead our competition team to new heights during a time that saw a new race format, a new playoff format, and a new race car. The mark he leaves on the organization is significant." Do you think this is all? Well, you thought wrong. John Probst has been made the Chief Racing Development Officer, Eric Jacuzzi has been named the Vice President of Vehicle Performance, and Dr. John Patalik has been promoted to Vice President of Safety Engineering. It's safe to say that NASCAR is moving in a new direction, and with new appointments, the sport is looking to bring back the old glory now that they've faced some serious scrutiny when it comes to the safety of the next-gen cars and the business model overall. But the sport hasn't stopped with the changes here, as a new addition has been implemented from 2023 on, and the fans are really divided on how they're supposed to feel about it. NASCAR gives its fans an appetizer with the second edition of the Clash at the Coliseum in LA before we head into the 2023 season and the Daytona 500 race. The exhibition race has been the center of controversy stirred up this week when the sanctioning body announced that, in the spirit of the Olympics, which have been hosted multiple times in the stadium's storied history, the top 3 drivers from the race would stand on a podium and receive medals. The new format of giving away medals at the exhibition race got the fans divided because last year, when NASCAR went into the first ever Clash at the Coliseum, no one really knew what to expect. Racing on the quarter-mile track in the next-gen cars sounded good on paper, but the practical application of it was truly out of context. However, it delivered results, which was the most important thing for the race itself. The first race drew over 50,000 fans, many of whom were first-timers, according to NASCAR. This is a very important milestone, given the fact that the sport has struggled with popularity now that sports like the IndyCar 500 and Formula 1 have started to steal the spotlight in the States. The fans were able to see a very interesting race last year, and the sport hopes that the same will happen this year. It was something like the Super Bowl, where the fans were entertained at halftime by Ice Cube and the race concluded with Joey Logano holding off Kyle Busch for the win. Who would have known that Logano would go on to win the championship that season? However, the podium being added to this particular race isn't something that's pleasing to the fans. NASCAR, as we mentioned earlier, is all about changes, but the sport needs to keep the traditional ways for certain things, such as the traditional trophy and the presentation. However, it seems like the sport is determined to go in another direction, which is giving away medals and changing the whole structure of the ceremony. This is done in the Olympics and other sports like Formula 1, and NASCAR wants to remain unique in this section and not implement something that has already been used in another competition. One fan wrote, "Lame. One thing I don't ever want to see is podium style. There is a winner and there is the rest of them. Not motocross or other series. We are NASCAR. If you ain't first, you're last." Other fans, however, supported the decision, as this one wrote, "I'm actually for this. I've thought NASCAR should have a podium for a while. I never thought we gave second and third place enough credit, as we should. NASCAR already does podiums with trophies, and for all the Euro Series and Pinty Series, might as well do it in the top 3 national US series too." All in all, NASCAR has recognized the changes that need to be implemented, and whether they are going to be good for the sport or not, only time will tell. With that being said, what do you think about the changes that are supposed to hit the grid from 2023 onwards? Let us know in the comments below.